Hey Fortnite squad, Jackus the creator here, and today we're going to be dropping into Fortnite OG 100 times. I'm going for the nostalgia tour, and for a truly notable challenge, I'm dropping Dusty Depot. Yup, we're going right into the OG death spot for 99+1 games of absolute torment. I, for one, cannot wait. The aim of this challenge is to better my Fortnite gaming ability through painful repetition, and hopefully, for your entertainment. A very notable thank you to the glorious founder of the 100 Jobs format, a mantle which I am taking on with the utmost love and respect. Now, before this intro gets too dusty, let's get into game number 1. Dropping into game 1, I already knew this was going to be a devious experience. Dusty Depot is in the very center of the map, and with a grand total of 3 chests and anywhere between 1 and 4,000 players, yeah, I'm in danger. However, that was not the case in game 1, in fact I am completely alone at Dusty Depot. The warehouses may not have many chests, but they do at least have a decent amount of materials with the pallets and containers lying around. The rolling hills surrounding Dusty provided some entertainment with some default skin noobs to vaporize. I saw this fight going down near the mythical factories and tried to take some sniper shots, but this tree's wonky collision blocked me. I went in for the ground assault, but before I could even make it, I suddenly died of a heart attack. Game 2 was a much more direct drop over Dusty Depot, so I had a little competition, but my sheer aura scared him away and I had all of Dusty to myself. As you can see, I'm leaving Dusty Depot with a wonderful collection of 3 grey pumps. I used those grey pumps to kill this Paradigm, who dropped 2 golden scars. Made my way down to Chicago where I used one of those golden scars to take out one of the guys in this fight, but then the other guy focused the power of 1,000 rocket launchers on me, and I ran out of mats because I wasted them all on that Paradigm. He sniped me and then he sniped me again. It looks like I'm contested game 3 and he has an all black umbrella. I might be in trouble. Oh, and he's landed on a gun first. Fantastic! Don't worry, I still killed him. Dusty Depot is right between the trifecta of evil: Loot Lake, Retail Row, and Salty Springs. So you're inevitably going to run into some trouble in these open fields, and Dusty doesn't provide much to take it on with. I could see this man sneaking behind the foliage, and I was just waiting to line up that perfect— Ah! Great job! I hope you die alone and sad. Game 4 started like basically any other. I dropped onto a gun and started shooting. I perched myself on the roof and took shots at unsuspecting players in the warehouses. Took a little damage from that guy, but thanks to a lucky roof shield pot, I'm doing alright. This Scarlet Defender was a real slippery one. I got her good, but she tagged me up too. I decided to go for the grounded approach, but she caught me by surprise and I potatoed. Game 5, I had a really bad drop and I got shot out of the sky. I managed to find myself a grey rifle and I almost lived. But I didn't! Game 6, I landed on a gun, which is already an improvement. I perched on the roof again and using my revolver, took a few shots at this Easter wick. When he was killed, I killed his killer. I know, it's a cheap strat, but karma caught up to me when I traded kills with this onesie. Game 7, he landed on a burst assault rifle and I landed on a pistol. It's a John Wick, the game was always his. In Game 8, both of the roof guns were contested, so I had to scrounge around for some dirty floor loot. This time, the pistol came in handy. You can see I tried to pick up his SMG, but I guess the input didn't register. Thankfully, the chest gods granted me some bandages so I could tape over my wounds. But when this spark plug appeared, my luck ran out. And look at that, it's the SMG I tried to pick up. Game 9 was surprisingly quiet. I still had to kill a guy, but it's Dusty Depot, that's pretty much guaranteed. Hey, look at that, I'm leaving Dusty Depot alive! But just south is the factories, and leaving that alive is even less likely. OMG, a recon expert. Can I have your autograph? I think she had her headphones unplugged. She didn't even know I was shooting her in the back. Dusty Depot was relatively chill game 10. Pretty much everyone who rolled by didn't pose a threat. But if you hang about Dusty Depot long enough, someone better than you will arrive, and then you will die. Game 11, only one gun spawned on the roof and this Nogops got to it before I did. She had a better shotgun, but I got the kill. Made my way down to the factories where I spotted a fishy friend, but by the time I got inside, he was already dead. I killed that Chaos Agent. That one's for you, fish stick. You'll notice that I'm wielding 2-pump shotguns in a lot of these games, and that's because I'm trying to learn the ancient art of double pump. I'm not great, but getting better. Before I even had time to recover, I was attacked again, and yeah, I died. I think by this point you can pretty much get the idea of how each drop goes. There's only 3 buildings, and each of them has a chance to spawn floor loot. But in game 12, all I got was a pistol. Yeah, I don't expect to win many of these games. Dusty Depot just doesn't prepare you very well for battle, and most of the time, you're not even going to make it out of Dusty. Game 14, I forgot to change my weapon wrap, which is very annoying. I'm glad I died. Dusty Depot is a very low-lying location, so you're going to want to drop in from afar and then glide in for the very best chance at a good roof drop. Although in game 15 my only off-spawn competition was this guy, and he wasn't really an issue. It took me 15 games, but I finally got more than 100 feet away from Dusty Depot. That's cause for celebration. I took some pot shots at this guy in Loot Lake, but I was distracted by a devious bush attack. I fought valiantly, but the bush bested me. Dusty Depot truly is the greatest spot to drop if you want to get better through painful trial and error. Game 17 I landed on a shotgun. This thing does massive structure damage. Don't think you're safe behind those walls. I killed that guy, and then I was killed. Whoop whoop, big up Banana Nation. Leave, Ghoul Trooper, this is my land. My favorite genre of Dusty Depot players are the ones that are clearly scared with no plan. I got a pretty cool bug with my crosshair this game. I think it happens sometimes when you switch a gun out too quickly. I returned to the salt fields, the bloodlust took hold. I'm not sure why I died, perhaps it was my giant tip. Game 19 I was peacefully farming mats up when I was sniped. I didn't live much longer. Squadded up with the Renegade boys for game 20. If you thought Dusty Depot was bad in solos, it's even worse in squads. More people, less loot. There are 3 chests in Dusty Depot, and I didn't get one. When I did finally get a gun, my squad was already dying, but thankfully, I can clean up. Yeah, good job, man. You really fooled me with that bush disguise. Wow. Factories is a hotspot for some real chicanery, so another squad showed up. But we dealt with them. Oh yeah, I danced on them. I don't care if it's toxic. When you have as much aura as we do, making it to the end game is easy, and securing that victory royale is even easier. Back to solos game 21, and back to dying. Maybe game 22 won't be as bad. It was! Game 23 I tried to place a trap in the middle of this fight. I don't know why I ever thought that would work. Game 24 there were no loot spawns on the roof, so I had to drop in through the doors. I had a Thrasher SMG and a dream, and sometimes a dream's all you need. Oh yeah, that's right. I made my way down to the factories where I was attacked, and despite dealing good damage, I still couldn't stick the landing. Game 25 I decided to switch up my drop and try dropping directly into the factories just south of Dusty Depot. I landed right on the smokestack and used this bolt action sniper to get 1 kill. The factories are a popular spot, more so than Dusty itself, so you'll always have competition here. I tried to get the wall dynamo kill on this man, but it didn't work, and when I resorted to spray and pray, he killed me. That was an avoidable death, but it's okay, we're only about a quarter through, there's plenty of room for growth. Not in game 26 though, I didn't even touch the ground. Game 27 had a pretty chill start, I only had to kill this 1 late dropper. But this is Dusty Depot and nobody leaves alive. Game 28 is labelled appropriately. I made it my goal to farm up absolutely everything inside a Dusty Depot to see how many mats I would leave with. I had to kill this guy, I'm sorry, he was a threat to the mission. A little tip is to break these boxes before you break the shelves above them. If you just break the shelf, the box will disappear and you lose potential extra mats. I burned through some of those mats fighting this tremendously rude intruder. He definitely could have killed me, but he was incredibly conservative with his fighting, so I was able to spray into his box and kill him. After breaking every box, pallet, shelf, and container in Dusty Depot, I ended up with max wood, pretty much max metal, and about half brick. Despite my good materials, I didn't actually leave Dusty's Depot. I simply hid up in the rafters and waited for everybody else to die. I sat here for a while, I just kept getting lucky with the storm circles, and before I knew it, there were 4 people left. Hiding will get you into the end game, but eventually you're going to need to fight, and that's what I did. I knew the last guy had to come to me, so I just held my position and sprayed into his box to pressure him. Eventually he made a move and we got into a classic build fight, trading some pretty heavy damage. Thankfully I had some medkits so I could heal up and continue to pressure him from above. I knew I was in a better position than him, so I wasn't about to make any stupid, risky moves. He made a move for me, but I hit him good with my shotguns. He panicked, he fell, and I won the game. I didn't expect to win any solo Dusty drops. That felt really good. Game 29 I left Dusty Depot entirely unharmed. My only kill was this surprisingly long distance SMG elim. Yep, apart from that I was a free man, I just kept to myself. Not far off to the west of Dusty Depot is the Valley of Death. You really don't want to be caught out in this valley as it's a super low point in the terrain. Although I made it to the other side just okay this time. It wasn't actually until I had cleared the valley when this Nogops launched an attack. I fought hard, but she got me low and had the high ground. It was close. Game 30, this default took a bullet to the knee. I tried to entrap this man into my wall dynamo, but it wouldn't place, and then he killed me. I really need to stop trying that. Game 31 was almost incredibly short-lived. If you can make it through the factories and survive, you can leave with some pretty decent mats. I even secured a supply drop, but it gave me a scoped assault rifle. This thing is pretty bad, it's got a lot of bloom, and it's really not worth picking up. I was hanging out in my box when I sensed a woman skulking nearby. Ew, cuties. Feminism's strongest soldier was unleashed upon me after that, but I defeated her with my superior gaming ability. Wait, that sounds like a sexist joke. I just mean I'm better than this one particular player. Not all female players. You can see that in this video, I suck. But then the storm came and I had quite the run ahead of me. I tried, I really did, but I knew I wasn't making it out. Game 32, I walked into this shack of shame and neither of us left alive. Game 33 started off same as pretty much all the other ones. I left pretty early, I don't want the smoke. To the north of Dusty Depot is this little forest where you can get a ton of mats. With my belly full of wood, I found myself in the Tomato Town Tunnel, where I was almost immediately annihilated. I left pretty early again Game 34. I went to this shipping container yard not far to the east. It's a great spot, tons of strong materials, a decent amount of loot, and usually not any competition. But this time there was! That's weird, he had no guns. He wasn't alone either, but using the containers I was able to get the drop on this Red Knight and get the kill. Returning to my hometown I saw things were getting hairy, so I gave him a trim. Oh, but that made his friends mad. I poked this gingerbread lady, then pushed in and sprayed her down through the tree line before my attention was diverted to this lynx, whom I simply bamboozled into holding one wall while I shot through the other. Elementary. Those kills left me with some seriously good loot to enter the final circle with. Final circle 1 vs 1 and I've truly met my match. I had a build battle against this renegade raider that lasted 4 entire minutes. It was a really balanced fight with a lot of height taking and traded shots. So we'll just skip right to the end where I bump my head, fall and land straight into second place. As you can see, Game 35 is an absolute nightmare. I almost made it out, but I didn't. I only had to murder one man in Game 36, which for Dusty Depot is pretty good. Game 36 was incredibly long and incredibly quiet, so we're just gonna skip straight forward to my death. Game 37, I spent 10 entire minutes watching the player that killed me just to watch him die because I really am that petty, and yes, it was absolutely worth it. Game 38 went about the same way as all the others. I killed a guy and then I got killed. Game 39, I made it to the end game with a rocket launcher. Still died though. Game 40, all I got was a jump pad, and I can't even place it. I got a shotgun. Didn't matter though. Game 41 was very unfortunate. Game 42 started off just as violent as ever. I bludgeoned 2 people before even finding a gun. Skip straight to the end game. This one's looking to be a retail row final circle. In true Chicago fashion, things got real messy. And although I briefly ascended to see Jesus, we still took home the win. Game 43, I found myself a golden RPG, which I used to kill this aerial assault trooper. But then his friend killed me. I was an inconvenience, and I'm okay with that. Game 44 was, guess what? ... Bad. It was bad. Game 45, we danced on this renegade raider. Remember this, there'll be a pop quiz later. We were held down at the factories, but with a clean headshot snipe I took out this knock ops. We were fighting another duo when I was shot in the back, and well, would you look at that? Don't worry, Simon made sure that renegade stayed gone. I was rebooted, but this is Dusty Depot, so I was almost immediately one pumped. Simon tried his best, but he didn't survive much longer than I did. Game 46, I didn't get a gun, but he did. Game 47, I did get a gun, but still died. Game 48, I didn't even need to be shot. I killed myself. Game 49, I got pumped. It happens. Pretty similar story in Game 50 and in Game 51. Almost. Yeah, I know I'm dying a lot, but that's the thing about Dusty Depot. You're not gonna survive. And even if you do leave, you'll be incredibly under-equipped for battle. It truly does make you a better player. Yeah man, just slowly walk towards me. That'll work. Default danced my way up to Anarchy Acres where I was attacked. He was a soccer skin, I was a battle pass boy. But I still won. Now it's the final circle, 1 vs 1, and I'm playing incredibly conservatively because I know he has a sniper. I'm forced to build fight him and I get the high ground, but this bushy boy is very elusive. I tried to jump pad down and get him, but my tactical shotgun just sneezed on him. So then I dropped down and I got pumped. Yep, just standing there while I shoot you is always an unbeatable strat. Game 52, I was inflicted with really bad servers. I'm not quite sure what was happening at Epic Games HQ that day, but it just was not working. I've noticed a lot of people like to try and hide under this truck here. Don't do this. It doesn't work. I was skulking around in Salty Springs in a bush when I observed this renegade raider running by. I lost that bush, but I won the battle. That kill gave me the absolutely unearned confidence to take on a fight in Chicago. He must have had low health. It was a really easy kill. After farming up a few cars, I was certified ready for the endgame with maximum materials. Unfortunately, I would never get to use any of those materials because the server said I wasn't allowed to. Game 53, I didn't even die to lag, I just spontaneously combusted. I tried in Game 54, I really did try. Easiest way to get an early Dusty kill is to have a revolver and someone who doesn't know where you are. You know, I'm getting a lot better at taking these factories fights. Factories wasn't even in the zone, I took that one for the love of the game. Dropping Dusty just makes you better at fighting with a weak loadout, like killing the Swansea. The end of that game made me really mad, so I'm just not gonna show it, it's my video. This is Game 56. This one was almost very short, but a good snipe turned the tide against the Skull Trooper. I had an incredibly lengthy build fight with this Omega, so we're just gonna skip to the good bit. Then I made my way down to Chicago, where I was promptly executed. Game 57, my my gun was stolen right out from under me. Yeah, game 58, my fit was so fire that it carried me straight to the end game. I played this one pretty conservatively, I haven't been here in a while. It was a super scuffed kill, but I got this guy to bring it down to a 1 vs 1. A 1 vs 1 which I promptly lost. Here's a little tip for you that I've picked up by now. Do not enter retail row after dropping Dusty. Just don't. It's not worth it. Game 60 I won't have to worry about that, because I won't even make it there. Game 61 is going horribly. How can you tell? We made it out of the storm, but that was the easy part. Now we have to deal with the people. I sprayed into this man's box and knocked it, so we were able to push in and gain a more comfortable position within the zone. Despite that, we were still sandwiched between multiple teams, so we'd have to play this one carefully. Jax got into a build fight and was knocked, but I hung back and sprayed at them with my green rifle, knocking one of them out. I pushed in, broke into their box, and with a clean pump shot, killed the duo. I was able to res Jax, but now it's 1 vs 1 and we're on the ultimate low ground. While trying to take the high ground, I was caught off guard and unfortunately taken out, and with Jax still on low health, he didn't last much longer. Game 62. When I watched this man get executed before my very eyes, I knew I was soon to follow. Game 64, I got a shotgun off rip, and for Dusty, that's really all you need. Yep, I went on to get 1, 2, 3 more kills before even leaving Dusty Depot. Buckle up guys, you're about to see a thrilling encounter with this knockops. Did you catch that? Game 64 was actually a pretty quiet game. I didn't find anyone else until I went for the supply drop at Fatal Fields. We got into a build battle and I landed a really strong hit with my tac shotgun. Then his rocket backfired and killed him. Final circle, 3 people left, and I am unfortunately on the low ground with no shields, so using my jump pad I launched in and started ramping up to the guy on high ground. Using my rocket I broke through his structures, but it did less damage than I anticipated, and he sprayed me down. In game 66 I popped a smoke grenade and successfully finessed this Lux. It was awesome. Despite that awesome maneuver, I still died. Evidently this man has not dropped into Dusty Depot 67 times. But then I have, and I still died. Game 68 I missed the first shot. She could have lived. I made my way down to the factories, a place where I have died many times before. I survived! I destroyed this man's entire career. This was a classic fumble. I could have had this guy, but I gave up the high ground where I really didn't need to, and in the end, that got me killed. Game 69 is labeled appropriately. I got into a sticky situation at the factories, but with a bit of luck I came out okay. I couldn't help but notice this man healing upstairs, so I trapped up, broke out his floor, the trap got him good, then I came round and pumped him for the finish. Man, this game is going really well. I sure do hope nothing happens to make it go horribly wrong. Yep, that'll do it. Game 70 I saw these two fighting and waited for a winner to emerge. His prize was bullets. I returned to my homeland where I saw this Nubitan sauntering about, basically begging to be shot. But it was a trap! That left me on low health, but I still had the high ground on a pump, and sometimes that's all you need. Don't worry, I fried that Nubitan too. But I wasn't even able to leave Dusty without being held again. I got into a pretty lengthy sniper trade with this default. I won. Final circle, 3 people left, and they are both fighting on top of a mountain while I'm stuck in Death Valley. I was able to build up and make my presence known, which horribly backfired as both parties suddenly decided to focus their arsenals solely on me. One of them died, but I'm still stuck on the low ground with low health, skulking around in the graveyard of their build fight. And that's no way to live. Game 71 I died. Who would have seen that one coming? It's not like he found a golden scar out of his first chest or anything. Same story, Game 72, and even though I landed on a golden bush in Game 73, it shared the same fate. Game 74, it was TTV X Empire against the world, and the world won. That's okay, we made up for it in Game 75. It is now officially Fortnite OG Season 2, which means that the grass is suddenly really ugly for no reason. Yes, my favorite OG map change. So nostalgia. I could smell a tasty pile of loot, and sure enough, this Yuletide Ranger was harboring the legendary Zapatron. This thing is like actually kind of busted. You charge it up and then you go zap, and they just die. This man was determined to relieve me of my Zapatron, and despite falling and fracturing my pelvis, he actually fell harder. Now armed with 2 Zapatrons, I didn't even need to use either against this calamity. My superior double pump skills did the job. I made it all the way to the top 3, but my 3rd place position was solidified when I tried to zap, and instead got zapped. Game 77, and you won't believe this, I died. Game 78, I Game 77 to this poor fellow. Yep, I deserve that. Game 79, I was bridging over Loot Lake, stalking for a kill when I suddenly contracted cardiac arrest. Game 80, I had a green pistol and a dream. Still not sure how I survived that encounter, but it doesn't matter because I didn't last much longer. And you won't believe what I died to. These things are not semi-automatic, that is a lie. Game 81, I zapped this Ramirez with a clean 150 to the shoulder. Then when I got in close, she one-pumped me. I will not die off spawn again! Game 82, I somehow got a Zapatron off rip, but apparently I can't even aim with it anyway, so double pump will have to get the job done. It's fine. That's cool, but whatever. Zap! 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 Oh, Season 2 features a big map update, covering pretty much everything. So what are the insane and crazy upgrades they made to Dusty Depot in Season 2, you ask? Well, they added a single ammo box to each warehouse. Yep, that's it. Anyway, Game 83 I zapped this Chaos Director on the roof, and then shortly after, I too got zapped. Game 84 I hit an honestly not terrible zap on this birdie. I don't know, I liked it. Man, I don't know what was up with the spawn rates of this game, but every chest in Dusty gave me the legendary Zapatron. That's gotta be crazy RNG. Using my newfound arsenal of electric sharpshooters, I almost collected a double kill at Salty Springs, but the second one was nabbed from me. Oh, and then the guy that did that killed me. That one hurt. Game 85, this guy thought he was slick. He wasn't. Of course, this is Salty, so I was immediately attacked again by this Joker. Why so serious? This is my last game using the Zapatron in these drops, and I gotta say, I love this thing. The Zapatron has achieved a sort of mythical status among the Fortnite community, and let me tell you, it is 100% deserved. This thing is genuinely crazy. Final Circle Game 85 is closing around Pleasant Park. That's nice, I like me a good Pleasant Park zone. I mean, look at this. I have the high ground, a Zapatron, and a purple scar, and this guy doesn't even know how to build. It's unfair. And with one final glorious zap, I took home the Victory Royale for Game 85. Thank you, Zapatron. Game 86, I think I missed my Zapatron. Game 87 is lost media. Does it bug anybody else that since OG Season 2, the health bar is way misaligned from the rest of the UI? Just me? Okay. Game 88, I stupidly decided to enter Tilted Towers since that exists now, and you can pretty much imagine what happened next. Well, his name checks out. Game 89, I got my hands on the epic tactical shotgun, which I swiftly used to eliminate this barely sentient being. Oh, and the minigun has been added. Now we're really cooking. Unfortunately, the only thing getting cooked is me. I mean, come on, that was just a poor display. Game 90, I attempted to finesse this man in a game of Ring Around the Roundabout. It didn't work. Game 91 was a pretty solid game. I'm in Retail Row, I've got a minigun, I'm feeling pretty good. Cause when I'm back in Chicago, I feel it. Another bullet in me, I didn't see it. Game 92 is going well, can you tell? Game 93 actually wasn't half bad, we were kind of popping off, but we didn't win, so whatever. Game 94, we engaged in domestic terrorism at Tilted Towers. Am I allowed to say that on YouTube? I watched my idiot friends attempt a rocket ride for about a minute straight. Oh hey, look at that, they pulled it off. I'm proud of them. Final Circle at Haunted Hills, and honestly we had a decent shot at winning this, but I fumbled pretty badly against this Jinx, and Detergent was already pretty low on health against two people. He fought bravely and even took one of them out, but in the end, we took second place. I think that if there's one thing to take away from Game 95, it's that I really need to stop trying the minigun at short range. It just isn't working out for me at all. Game 96, I got into a build fight I 100% couldn't take. This guy had me outmatched 100%, but with a little slipperiness and some good spray RNG, I got the kill. Secured my top 4 position with this nasty snipe at Loot Lake, but unfortunately top 4 is where I shall place. Game 97, I really shouldn't have lost this fight. This was bad. Defaulted my way down to Fatal Fields Game 98, and this time I survived. No, like many games before it, in Game 98 my grave was laying in Salty Springs. Oh, but I took him with me. The fast food gods gifted me a second chance with the epic tactical shotgun in Game 99. A chance which of course I also fumbled horribly. Right, here we are, Game 100. One last match of pure pain. Dusty Depot is not a terrible location, except it kinda is. Dropping Dusty Depot is not for the weak, and it got to a point where my friends straight up said they wouldn't play if I was still dropping Dusty, which is quite funny. Oh hey look, a crossbow. But yeah, Dusty Depot was perhaps not the best way to break in Fortnite OG. I'm definitely a hardened player after these drops though. However, my final game was actually surprisingly quiet. In fact, the first person I even saw was this Peely I scoped out down by Moisty Maya. And so, Game 100 ends in as just an unsatisfying way as so many others. I got minigunned out of the sky. There you have it, 100 matches of Fortnite OG. This was an incredibly fun, challenging, sometimes nightmarish experience, and I am so sorry to the poor friends I made squad up with me during these games. Thankfully I got the last laugh as Dusty Depot has been absolutely annihilated, and may it never return, Gubo bless. Thanks for watching, stay creative, and who knows, I might just see you in the next video. Game 2 was a much more direct drop over Dusty David. Ugh, that's not even the right POI.